At our son's full moon banquet, my husband's female confidant started a scene in front of everyone. Fanj, you're a man. How can you let the child take his mother's surname? Even if you're a Livian son-in-law, you still have to save face. Don't you? A child should take his father's surname. That's the only way to honor the ancestors of a man's family. My husband Lin Huai cared more about his pride than anything else. He announced on the spot that the child would take his surname, and then looked down at me with a smug, superior air. Why should your family get to decide everything? The child is my own blood. Of course I have the right to decide the surname. Everyone present was waiting to see me, the heiress and chairwoman of a wealthy family, make a fool of myself. I didn't answer. I just smiled. Since you want your son to take your surname so badly, then we'll do as you wish. It's just that the inheritance rights to our Shin family's 100 billion fortune are probably no longer meant for you, father and son. The full moon banquet ended on an unhappy note. The guests looked at me with eyes full of sympathy and schadenfreude. My husband Lin Huai held each child in his arms, surrounded by his confidant Wang Wei and a group of brothers. Like a victorious king returning home. Shin Yu, what are you standing there for? Come give me a hand, can't you see I can't manage all this by myself? A commanding look settled on Lin Huai's face. This was the first time since he had married into our family. I walked over and, instead of taking the child, picked up the suit jacket beside him. The driver is waiting outside, I said in an even tone. Wang Wei said in a sour, mocking voice. Oh, President Shen. Already angry over this. It's just a surname, does it really matter? Women ought to be a little more broad-minded. I glanced at her and said nothing. To say even one more word to someone like that would count as my defeat. When I got home, my mom's call came through, her icy voice nearly piercing the receiver. Shin Yu, have you lost your mind? Let that man make a scene. The eldest grandson of the Shin family taking the surname of some ordinary household like his. Where am I supposed to put my old face? I held the phone a little farther away, and only after she finished speaking did I answer calmly. Mom, don't be angry. I know what I'm doing. What do you mean? You know what you're doing. Your idea of knowing what you're doing is making sure your son can't even enter the ancestral hall in the future. Then just pretend you never had this grandson. After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone without another word. In the living room, Lin Huai was flaunting his triumph in high spirits. He was on a video call, sharing the fruits of his victory with Wang Wei. You should have seen the look on Shin Yu's mom's face turned green. Serves her right. That family's queen complex needed a lesson. They think they're so great just because they have money. Exactly. Brother Huai, you did the right thing. What do you call this? This is called a man's dignity. Wang Wei fanned the flames on the other end of the video. As I listened, all I felt was ridicule. Lin Huai ended the video and walked up to me, his chin held high. Shin Yu, I'm telling you, the child will have my surname. That's settled. If you dare have any objections, or if your mother or dares call me again, we're not done. No objections. I looked at him. Whatever makes you happy. He froze for a moment, apparently not expecting me to be so easygoing. That's more like it. He let out a soft snort and carried the child back into the bedroom. Early the next morning, Li and Huai couldn't wait to drag me along to get the child's birth certificate and household registration sorted out. He even called Wang Wei to come with us, as if he were escorting me to my execution. All the way there, Wang Wei kept chattering nonstop. Brother Huai, let me tell you, you're the model for every Livian son-in-law today. It means you can marry into the family and still have the child take your surname. It's something so many men want to do but dare not. You did it. Lin Huai was flattered to the point of feeling dazed. And the look he gave me was full of disdain. When we got to the service hall, he took out the name he had already decided on long ago, Lin Tianyu. In his name means blessings he hoped heaven would protect him. He explained. Moved by his OWN words, I nodded. My expression unreadable. The staff member followed procedure and asked. Are you certain the child's name is Lin Tianyu? Taking the father's surname, once it's finalized. Changing it later will be very troublesome, Lin Huai answered at once. Certain. Absolutely certain. When he signed his name, even the tip of the pen seemed to carry a triumphant, vindicated air. I cooperated in silence the whole time, signing my name and pressing my thumbprint, when he got hold of the household register bearing the 3 characters Lin Tianyu. Lin Huai was so excited his yes even turned red. He held the household register up to me, as if showing off his spoils of war. Xin Yu. Did you see that? My son's name, I got the final say. Wang Wei clapped beside him. Congratulations. Brother Huai. Best wishes. Brother Huai. Long live a man's dignity. I looked at the two of them and smiled. How nice. I hope you'll still be able to laugh this happily in the future. The day after everything was settled, my mom called me. Her voice was no longer angry, but cold with disappointment. I've had the bank freeze that unlimited black card under Lin Huai's name. Got it. The Riverview luxury apartment you're living in, the name on the deed is mine. This month's water, electricity, and property management fees, you'll pay them yourselves. Okay. And the driver assigned to him, along with that Porsche, will be taken back today. From now on, you'll have to find your own way when you go out. My mother was silent for a moment before finally saying, You'd better take care of yourself. The call ended. Lin Huai had just finished working out and come out of the room when he heard me on the phone. He frowned. Who was it? Your mom. What did she say this time? Nothing much. She said she's cutting off your card and making us pay the utilities ourselves. I repeated lightly. Lin Huai's expression changed instantly. What do you mean? What right does she have to cut off my card? We live in that household and should be paying for it as a matter of course. Maybe because you don't listen, I said with a shrug. Xin Yu, he roared. This is your problem. You're the one who didn't handle your relationship with your family properly. You're a female CEO. And you can't even handle your own mother. Now look at this, expenses have to be covered by us ourselves. Have you thought about how my and the child's quality of life is going to go down? I have. You thought about that. And yet you still. The money is in my mom's hands. She can give it to whoever she wants. What can I do about it? I cut him off. Lin Huai was so angry he was speechless, his chest heaving violently. You're just too weak. After cursing, he immediately picked up his phone and called Wang Wei to complain. On the phone, Wang Wei was indignant. That's too much. This is economic sanctions. Huaiga. Don't be afraid. You can't give in to such an overbearing mother-in-law. They just want to use money to force you into submission. Lin Huai seemed to have found his backbone and immediately shouted at me. Did you hear that? I won't compromise. So what if it's money? I've got hands and feet too. I can support my son. With that, he stormed out, slamming the door behind him with a loud bang. I knew he had gone to Wang Wei and his brothers to seek comfort. I sat alone in the empty living room, took out my phone, and glanced at the investment returns that had just been deposited into my personal account. It was a very considerable sum. This was a fund under my own name, unrelated to the family trust. It was an investment I had made on my own after graduating from college. My mom could freeze Lin Huai's card, But she couldn't touch my own money. It was just that Lin Huai didn't know that. I'd always thought I was nothing more than an heir who simply collected dividends from the family business. That night, Lin Huai came back reeking of alcohol, carrying a few shopping bags from an electronics store in his hands. Yu, look. Even without your family's money, I'm doing just fine. He flung the shopping bags onto the sofa. I used my own card today. Spent my own money, it feels great. I looked at those few bags, then glanced at the repayment reminder text from the bank on his phone. His meager credit card limit was probably already maxed out. As long as you're happy, I said lightly. It seemed as though he had punched a lump of cotton, and he was thoroughly annoyed. What kind of attitude is that? Shouldn't you reflect on yourself? If you weren't so useless, would I have to spend my own money? My fault, I said perfunctorily. He was about to say more when his phone rang. It was a call from his mother. Xiao Huai, your younger sister is getting married. As her brother, shouldn't you at least show some support? Just prepare 500,000 yuan as a dowry. As for your side. Lin Huai's face went deathly pale in an instant. Lin Huai hung up the phone, completely deflated. He sat on the sofa, staring at those few bags of electronics, his gaze vacant. Yu, my mom, my younger sister is getting married, and they need a 500,000 yuan dowry. He said weakly. So what? I asked. I'm out of money. He bit his lip, for the first time a look of panic showing on his face. My credit cards are maxed out, and my savings aren't nearly enough. He looked at me, a trace of pleading in his eyes. Can you help me tide things over for now? Count it as a loan from you. I smiled. Didn't you say you had hands and feet and could support your son yourself? How come you can't even handle your sister's dowry? Lin Huai's face flushed scarlet. Stop making sarcastic remarks. You definitely have private savings. Yu, this time you have to help me, or my mom will skin me alive. Help you? Why should I help you? I shot back. Didn't you have so much male dignity? Didn't you say spending your own money felt the best? He trembled with anger. Yu, don't forget, we're husband and wife. My sister's business is your business. Really? I rose to my feet and walked up to him, looking down at him from above. Then when your son took someone else's surname, why didn't you think about the fact that we're husband and wife? Was that my business too? Lin Huai's face drained whiter and whiter. That's different. A surname is my right, but money is a husband and wife's shared obligation. He was still trying to force the argument. Well said. I nodded. What a pity that my money is also my right, whether I give it or not. That's up to me. After saying that, I ignored him and turned back to the study. Behind me came his stifled roar and the sound of things being smashed. A few days later, it was my grandfather's 80th birthday. Our Shin family was a traditional old family, and Grandpa's longevity banquet was held with great pomp. Everyone even remotely related by blood or marriage had to be present. I told Lin Huai in advance. Grandpa's turning 80 on Saturday. Get ready and bring the child with you. Lin Huai was still giving me the cold shoulder over the money, and when he heard that, he let out a scornful snore. What am I going for? To watch your family's expressions. They must hate me to death by now. Then you have to go too. Those are the rules. Rules. Your family only knows rules. He waved his hand impatiently. Got it. So annoying. On the day of the birthday banquet, I drove, and Lin Huai held the child in the back seat. He had specially dressed up, wearing a newly bought suit, and the child was dressed like a little prince. He was probably trying to prove That even without the financial support of the Shin family, he was doing just fine. By the time they reached the old estate's gardens, the entrance was packed with traffic. All of it top-tier luxury cars. Lin Huai's expression was a little stiff, but he still held himself together, carrying the child as he got out of the car. The moment he stepped inside, the lively banquet hall fell silent for an instant. Everyone's eyes fell on us. Noit was on Lin Huai and the child he was holding. In those gazes, there was no joy, no welcome, only scrutiny and indifference. A few of my cousins from my uncle's families came over and patted me on the shoulder. Yeah. You're here. They didn't even look at Lin Huai or the child. As if they were invisible, the smile on Lin Huai's face froze. The banquet began, with grandfather seated at the head of the table, receiving everyone's birthday wishes. It was our generation's turn to step forward to pay our respects and present our gifts. My eldest cousin carried her daughter in her arms, and my second cousin carried her son. Both received grandpa's red envelopes and smiling praise. Then it was my turn. I stepped forward and bowed slightly as I recited my birthday blessings. Grandfather nodded and handed me a red envelope. Lin Huai held the child in his arms, standing behind me with anticipation, yet grandfat. Her's gaze swept over him and the child as if they were complete strangers. Lingering not at all, he turned to the butler beside him and said, "Let the banquet begin." Lin Huai stood frozen in place, holding the child. Like a joke, the relatives around them whispered among themselves. Their glan. CES full of mockery. Lin Huai's face went from red to white, then to pale green. The hands with which he held the child were trembling slightly. At the banquet, the atmosphere was even more bizarre. At our table, everyone seated was a sister of the same generation. The rest of us chatted and laughed, but no one said a word to Lin Huai. When a dish was rotated to him, he had just reached out to pick some up when his brother-in-law turned the lazy Susan away, as if he hadn't seen him at all. Lin Huai's chopsticks froze awkwardly in midair. The child was hungry and started crying in fussing. Lin Huai flusteredly tried to soothe him, looking for a place to feed him. He turned to me for help. Before I could say anything, my cousin standing beside me said coolly, "Oh, mister, Lin's child is crying. There isn't a nursery prepared for outsiders at the old house. Why don't you make do in the public restroom outside?" She bit especially hard on the words outsider. A grown man like Lin Huai had his eyes redden in an instant, hugging the child. He struggled to his feet and fled the banquet hall under everyone's amused, expectant gazes. I did not go after him. This was the path he had chosen himself. The bitter fruit was his to taste as well. About half an hour later, Lin Huai sent me a message. "Chin Yu, get out here. I'm waiting for you outside. We're going home." I replied with 2 words. Wait. When the birthday banquet ended, I said my goodbyes to Grandpa and the elders. Grandpa pulled me aside and pressed a card into my hand. Grandpa knows you've been wronged, but rules are rules. As for this child, our Shin family will not acknowledge him. His voice was heavy. Your own affairs. Handle them properly. I understand, Grandpa. I walked out of the LD residence and saw Lin Huai leaning against the car, his face ashen. The child had fallen asleep in his arms. When he saw me, he rushed at me, clenching his fists. "Chin Yu, you did that on purpose. You deliberately brought me here to watch your family's expressions. You deliberately made me look bad. I warned you." "Did you call that a warning? Why didn't you tell me the consequences would be this severe?" he shouted hysterically. "How was I supposed to tell you? Tell you my grandpa's worth 100 billion? Tell you our family has an imperial throne to inherit?" I let out a sarcastic laugh. Would you have believed me? Back then. You'd only have thought I was trying to use money to crush you. And it would only have further provoked that ridiculous pride of yours. Lin Huai was left speechless by my words. On the way home, he said nothing. Only his chest rising and falling violently. I thought that after T's public humiliation, he would at last wake up to reality. I was wrong. He had no intention of reflecting on himself at all. As soon as he got home, he called Wang Wei and complained bitterly about what had happened today. Wang Wei launched into his usual spiel again. Brother Huai, don't be mad. They're nothing but a bunch of old fossils. The more they act like this, the more you have to hold your ground. This is the darkness before dawn. If you give up now, all your previous efforts will have been for nothing. But I really can't take it anymore. The way they look at me. It's like I'm some beggar who's come knocking on their door. They simply don't know how to respect men. You did nothing wrong. It's them who are wrong. You have to fight for yourself. For your child. For the dignity of all men. Lin Huai's anger gradually subsided. After hanging up, it was as if he had been recharged. His gaze once again turned resolute. He looked at me and said coldly, Xin Yu, I won't give up. My son must bear my surname. I not only want him to bear the surname Lin, I want him to live more gloriously than any child of your Shin family ever could. Watching him in this brainwashed state, I completely lost any desire to communicate with him. A few days later, while I was holding a senior management meeting at the group headquarters, I received a call from the butler. Miss, the old master wants you to come back to the old residence at once. It's about something important. The butler's tone was grave. My heart sank. And I hurried back at once. In the study of the old house, it wasn't just my grandfather, my father and several uncles were there too. Each wear a solemn expression. Grandfather slid a document over to me. See for yourself. I picked up the document, and my pupils suddenly contracted. It was an annual income distribution plan for the family trust. Clearly listed on it were the names of each family member, along with their corresponding shares, under my name. Where my son's place should have been, there was now only a blank space, and in the appendix on the last page of the document, a regulation was written in bold black type. Beneficiaries of this family trust shall be limited solely to the direct bloodline recorded in the Shin clan genealogy. The newborn surname must follow the mother's surname. Shin in order to be automatically entered into the clan registry and the list of trust beneficiaries. This provision is the family's highest principle and may not be altered. My father slapped the table and said angrily, Do you see it now? Black and white. 100 billion in assets. All cut off from your son because of that stupid man's momentary impulse. Grandfather raised a hand to stop my father. He looked at me and slowly said, "You. Things have come to this, on the family's side. The rules cannot be broken. As for your own little family, you settle it yourself." I gripped the document so tightly that the edges of the paper were almost rushed beneath my fingers. I went home. Lin Huai was playing a game, leisurely sipping beer, when he saw me come back. He didn't even lift his eyelids. Back already. Just in time, there's no beer at home. Go buy some. I didn't move. I walked up to him and threw the document onto the coffee table. What is this? Lin Huai impatiently paused his game and glanced at it. When he saw the astronomical assets listed in the document, followed by line after line of zeros, his eyes went wide in an instant. Thighs, what is this? So much money. He flipped through page after page, his breathing growing more and more ragged. When he reached my name and saw the enormous trust share registered under it, he drew in a sharp breath. Xin Yu, your family is this rich. His voice trembled. I remained silent. He kept flipping downward, searching anxiously, muttering under his breath. Where's my son? T on you. Where's his share? At last. He saw the appendix on the final page. That bold-faced clause struck him like a sledgehammer, smashing mercilessly into his face. The color drained from his face in an instant. He raised his head in disbelief and looked at me, his lips trembling. No, impossible. What does this mean? What do you mean the child must take the mother's surname? Looking at the terror on his face, I told him clearly, one word at a time. The meaning is, your son, Lin Tianyu, has been struck from the Shin family register by our Shin family. He has no right to inherit even a single cent from the Shin family. No, I don't believe it. This is fake. You forged this just to scare me. Lin Huai, like a madman, snatched up the document and tried to tear it to pieces. But the document was made of special paper, extraordinarily tough. No matter how hard he tried, he could only rip open a tiny slit. You lied to me. Your whole family ganged up to lie to me. He roared at me, whether it's fake or not. You can have a lawyer verify it. I stared at him coldly. Or you can call that all-powerful confidant of yours right now and ask her, can the charter of a family trust registered with a Swiss bank be amended? What was her name again? Wang Wei, right? As if grasping at the last straw, he dialed Wang Wei's number with trembling hands. The moment the call connected, he cried out, Wang Wei, Shin Yu's family tricked me. They said if the child doesn't have the surname Shin, she can't inherit anything. Hurry up and help me think of a way. There was silence on Wang Wei's end of the line. Only after a full half-minute did she speak in a dry voice. Brother Huai, don't get agitated yet. Family trusts, especially those of top-tier wealthy families, really can have some very harsh terms. What do you mean? Lin Huai's heart sank little by little. In other words, Shin Yu may not have been lying to you. Those words became the last straw that broke Lin Huai. His phone slipped from his hand and fell to the floor. He collapsed weakly onto the sofa, his gaze unfocused, mumbling over and over under his breath. How could this be? How could this be? 100 billion inheritance. Not a million. Not 10 million. It was a number he wouldn't even dare to imagine in his dreams. And all of it was ruined by his own hands. All because he had cared about that pitiful shred of pride and believed the damned nonsense of his confidant. He suddenly his head, his eyes bloodshot as he glared at me. Shin Yu, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why did you just stand by and watch me make a mistake? How was I supposed to tell you? I shot back. The moment you announced the child would take your surname, I became the weak, useless woman who couldn't even handle her own family in your eyes. Do you think a single word I said would have gotten through to you? In your eyes, was anything I said worth more than a single word from your dear confidant? Lin Huai was speechless. Yes, at that banquet. It wasn't that I hadn't tried to stop it, but any hint or glance I gave was interpreted by him and by them as pettiness and a controlling nature. No, there's still a chance. He suddenly grabbed my arm, his nails digging deeply into my flesh. Let's change your name. Right now. Change it back to Shin Tianyu. As long as we change it back, everything will still have a chance. It's too late. I pried his hand away. What do you mean? Too late. The household register and birth certificate are both here. Let's go to the police station right now. I said. It's too late. I looked at him, my eyes devoid of even a trace of warmth. Grandfather has spoken. The Shin family's rules are absolute. You made him lose face in front of the whole family. And you turned the Shin family's eldest grandson into a laughingstock in the entire circle. You think changing your name means nothing ever happened. In their eyes, Lin Tianyu had been branded an outsider from the moment he was born. That brand could never be washed away in a lifetime. Lin Huai completely broke down. He knelt on the ground, clutching my leg, and burst into loud, heart-wrenching sobs. I was wrong, Xinyu. I really was wrong. Give me one more chance, please. Go beg Grandpa. Please beg your dad. Money doesn't matter. I don't want the money anymore. I only want our son to have the surname Shin. I looked down at him. Now you're saying you don't want money. Back then, for the sake of dignity, to show off your backbone to Wang Wei. What did you take your son for? As your trophy. Now that the trophy is useless, you want to throw it away. My words were like knives, stabbing straight into his heart. He cried even harder, gasping for breath. No, no, he's my son. I love him. Is that so? I gently pried his hand away. Then call Wang Wei right now and tell her that, for the sake of your so-called male dignity, you caused your son to lose a fortune worth tens of billions. Let's see whether she still thinks you're a role model for all Livian sons-in-law. Lin Huai did not make th. At call. He didn't dare. He locked himself in his room, refusing both food and drink, for a full 2 days. On the 3rd day, he came out looking gaunt and haggard, his eyes swollen like walnuts. The first thing he did was block all of Wang Wei's contact information. Then he knelt before me, holding he household register and our marriage certificate. Xin Yu. Let's change his name, please. His voice was so hoarse it was almost impossible to hear. Even if we can't get the inheritance, I still want him to have the surname Shin. He's the eldest grandson of your family. He should be Shin. I looked at him, my heart utterly unmoved. No need. Why? He looked at me in despair. I took a document from the desk drawer and placed it in front of him. It was a divorce agreement. Sign it. Lin Huai's body swayed, and he nearly fainted. Div divorce. Xin Yu. You want a divorce from me, or what? I asked back. Keep you around so you can keep listening to your dear confidant and turn my life upside down. I won't do it anymore. I'll never do it again. I've already broken things off with Wang Wei. He swore through his tears. Xin Yu. Believe me. I'll listen to you about everything from now on. Why should I believe a man who, for the sake of vanity, would sacrifice even his own son's future? I pointed at the clauses in the agreement. The house and the carry won't give you either of them. Those are my parents' assets. The child will go to you. After all, you were the one who insisted he take your surname. I don't want a child with an outsider's surname appearing in my Shin fam. Ili genealogy. I will pay child support according to the law 10,000 a month, until he turns 18. As for you, I looked at him. Whatever assets you had before the marriage, you will still have after the divorce. I won't give you a single cent more. Lin Huai looked at the agreement. NT. As if struck by lightning. 10,000. Xin Yu. How can you be so heartless? He's your son too. How can 10,000 yuan a month be enough in a big city? Whether it's enough is something you, as his father, should have thought about. I said coldly. Back then, just so he could take your surname. Didn't you swear up and down that you could support him? Why is it suddenly not enough now? He was left speechless by my retort, unwilling to give in. He began to throw a tantrum and roll around on the ground. I won't sign. I'd rather die than sign. Xin Yu. You can't do this to me. Suit yourself. I shrugged indifferently. You don't have to sign. Then we'll just live apart and take this to court. Do you think, given the disparity in strength between our two families, how the court would rule? Lin Huai immediately deflated. He knew everything I said was the truth. Going to court against the Shin family. He didn't even have a 10% chance of winning. He picked up the pen. His hand shaking so badly it was almost impossible to hold steady. And signed his name on the agreement. After signing, it was as if all the strength had been drained from him. He collapsed to the ground. I put away the agreement. Didn't look at him again. And turned to leave. The moment I stepped out the door, I sent the butler a message. It's done. A reply came back from the butler very quickly. The old master knows. He said, Miss. Welcome home. Lin Huai and I quickly completed the divorce proceedings. He took the child and moved out of the large apartment. I gave him a 1-month grace period to find a place to live. On the day he moved out, I didn't go to see him off. According to the nanny, he hired a small moving truck and loaded it with bag after bag of belongings. Those suits and watches he had once regarded as the height of taste were now carelessly crammed into boxes. And the child he had once treated as a symbol of dignity, Lin Tianyu, kept crying the whole time. He never came looking for me again. Maybe he was too ashamed. Or maybe he hated me. After the divorce, I moved back into the old family home. Grandfather called me into the study and played a game of chess with me. Is everything dealt with cleanly? Yes. Deep down, do you blame Grandpa for being ruthless? He placed a piece. I shook my head. No. Without rules, there can be no order. The Shin family's fortune is the blood and sweat of our ancestors. It cannot be ruined in the hands of someone so ignorant. Grandfather smiled in satisfaction. To be able to think that way means you've grown up. He looked at the chessboard. That child, though he is not recorded in the clan genealogy, he is still your flesh and blood. If in the future you want to see him, then go and see him. Only don't let him know the truth of his own birth. This is for the best for you. And for him. I understand. Grandpa. Life seemed to have returned to normal again. I threw myself wholeheartedly into the company's business. And my career flourished. My parents no longer greeted me with cold, hostile stares. And the atmosphere at home once again became harmonious. Only occasionally, in the stillness of the night, would I think of that child named Lin Tianyu? How was he doing now? About half a year later, I heard news of Lin Huai from a mutual friend. He was not doing well at all, without the halo of being the Shin family's son-in-law. He quickly came to understand the warmth and chill of the human world. Those brothers who had once orbited around him all gradually kept their distance. He wanted to return to the workforce, only to discover that he had long since fallen out of step with society, and could only take on some basic work for a meager salary, to help his younger sister gather a dowry. He sold off the last valuable thing he owned and rented a place in an old, run-down residential compound. His parents took out all their resentment on him, cursing him as a useless, spineless failure. As for Wang Wei, the woman who had ruined his life, she had long since married another wealthy second-generation heir and was living a life of ease and prosperity. It was said that once Lin Huai ran into her at a shopping mall and wanted to confront her. But Wang Wei's husband mistook him for a harasser and had security throw him out. A friend said that Lin Huai had become very despondent now, his whole being shrouded in gloom, no longer carrying even a trace of the brilliance he once had. He would often sit alone on a bench in the residential complex, holding the child in his arms, lost in a daze for an entire afternoon at a time, and he kept muttering under his breath, "If only back then, if only back then." But in this world, there had never been any ifs. Another year passed. The group was preparing for a major acquisition in Europe, and I was so busy I scarcely had time to touch the ground. One afternoon, I had just finished a transnational meeting. My secretary told me that a Mr. Lin was looking for me. He had no appointment and had been waiting in the lobby. Refusing to leave. Something stirred in my heart. And I had the secretary take him to the reception room. When I pushed open the door, I saw Lin Huai. He looked even more haggard than I had heard, wearing a pilled t-shirt. His hair a little greasy. The wrinkles at the corners of his eyes and his gaunt complexion. He looked 10 years older than his actual age. He was holding the child in his arms. Lin Tianyu was almost 2 years old already. A sturdy little thing with a round, tiger-like face. When he saw me, he wasn't shy at all. He opened a pair of eyes that looked strikingly like mine and studied me curiously. "What is it?" I pulled out a chair and sat down across from him. Xinyu as soon as he opened his mouth. His voice caught in his throat. I'm here to beg you. I've reached the end of the road." He told me he had lost his job. He couldn't afford the rent. And the baby's formula money was almost gone. His parents were even less likely to be counted on. It was already good enough if they didn't curse him out. "Xinyu, I know I was wrong to you before. I was stupid. I was vain. And I personally ruined everything," he said through tears. "I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm only begging you to help the child. He's so pitiful. He knows nothing. He shouldn't have to suffer with me." He pushed the child forward a little. "Look at him, looks so much like you. Xinyu. Even if you won't acknowledge me, at least acknowledge him." Lin Tianyu seemed to sense his father's sorrow. He pouted his little mouth and started crying too. I looked at the father and son before me, and I couldn't put into words what I was feeling. I took out my checkbook, wrote down a string of numbers, tore off the check, and slid it over to him. "This is 1 million. Enough for you and your son to live on for a very long time." Lin Huai stared at the check, stunned. "Take the money. Leave here. Go to a city where no one knows you. And start over." I said calmly, "Don't come looking for me again. And don't let the child know I exist." "Why?" Lin Huai looked at me in confusion. "Xinyu, you clearly still have feelings for him. Why won't you acknowledge him?" "Because that's the best protection for him." I stood up. "Do you think it would be a good thing for him to know that he has a mother worth billions, yet never be able to get close to her for the rest of his life? Do you think he'd be happy growing up under the label of an illegitimate child abandoned by a wealthy family?" "Lin Huai, you've already destroyed his right of inheritance. Please don't destroy the rest of his life too." My words left Lin Huai completely stunned, holding the child in his arms. He looked at the check, tears streaming down his face. He finally understood how heavy and irreparable the consequences of his willful decision had been. Not only had he ruined his son's billion-dollar inheritance, he had also severed the last rightful tie between him and his mother, and between him and the entire family. From this point on, he could only be an ordinary child who grew up without his mother by his side. And all of it was thanks to him. In the end, Lin Huai still took the check. He said nothing more, only held the child and bowed deeply to me. Then he turned and left, his figure desolate. From that day on, I never saw him again. I heard that he took the child to a small city in the north. He used that money for the down payment, bought a small house, and opened a tiny computer repair shop of his own. Barely making ends meet, he never remarried. Life passed in plain simplicity. ND could even be said to be stable. A few years later, Shin Group's market value soared all the way up, far surpassing the 10 billion mark of those days. I became the cover figure of a financial magazine, hailed as the queen of the business world. A new man also appeared by my side. And his me was Zhou Zheng. I met him during a business negotiation. He was an equally outstanding entrepreneur, mature, steady, and highly capable. We share a common language and similar values. He knows everything about me, including the fact that I have a son who was lost to me and is out there somewhere. He doesn't mind. He often says you. Everyone has a past. I love the you of now. And the you of the future. We got married. And after the wedding we had a son. We named him Shin Qingyu, Qing of inheritance. You of the universe. The day he was born. Grandpa held him in his arms, smiling so broadly he could hardly close his mouth. Good. Good. This is the true prodigy of our Shin family. Shin Qingyu's full-month banquet was even grander than Lin Tianyou's had been back then. Everyone from the entire family came, each face glowing with genuine joy. At the banquet, Zhou Jing held Qingyu in his arms. Leaning close to me, he asked me softly, "Will you miss him?" I knew who he was asking about, holding the wine glass in my hand. I looked at the lively scene in the banquet hall and fell silent for a moment. Maybe, even if I wanted to. So what? He and I had long since become people of two different worlds. For both him and me. This was the best ending. Many more years passed. I have already fully taken over the family business from my grandfather. My son Shin Qingyu has also grown into adulthood, studying at a prestigious university abroad and preparing to come home to inherit the family enterprise. He is outstanding, more so than I was at his age, and I too have gradually grown old. On a sunlit afternoon, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. On the other end of the line was a young man's voice, carrying a hint of unease and hesitation. "Excuse me, is this Ms. Qingyu?" "Yes, it is. My name is Lin Tianyu." My heart gave a sudden jolt. My father, Lin Huai, passed away last week. It was a car accident. His voice was very calm, yet it carried a suppressed sorrow. Before he died, he gave me this number and told me I had to call you. He said there as something that had to be returned to you in person. I fell silent. "Would it be convenient for you to meet?" he asked cautiously. I agreed. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe. I arrived early and sat by the window. It wasn't long before a tall, slender young man walked in. He was dressed in a simple white shirt and jeans, neat and refreshingly clean. His brows and eyes were almost exactly the same as mine when I was young. He walked up to me and, somewhat awkwardly, pulled out a chair and sat down. "Ms. Chen, call me Auntie," I said. He nodded, took an old wooden box from his backpack, and pushed it toward me. "This is what my father asked me to give you." I opened the box. Inside lay a bank card and a letter. Resting quietly, I picked up the letter. It was Lin Huai's handwriting, messy, yet carrying a trace of relief. "Qingyu, I hope this letter finds you well. By the time you read this letter, I will most likely already be dead. Please forgive my final act of selfishness for letting Tianyu come to bother you. All my life, my ambition soared higher than the heavens. Yet my fate was thinner than paper. In the end, I was left with nothing. I brought it upon myself. I don't hate you. Really, I only hate my own foolishness and arrogance back then. If time could flow backward, how I would want to return to that full moon banquet and slap myself across the face. Then tell everyone that my N bears the surname Shin. What a pity there is no if. The 1 million you gave me, I never really touched it. I opened a small shop, enough to support the two of us, father and son. Now, I'm giving it back to you, with principal and interest included. There should still be a little extra loo. FT to repay. The password is Tianyo's birthday. Tianyu is a good child. He's very sensible. And his studies are excellent too, through his own efforts. He was admitted to a good university. The person I've wronged most in my life is him. I insisted on keeping him by my side. Yet I had no ability to give him a whole home. A bright future. I know I have no right to ask anything of you. I only hope that after I'm gone, you can occasionally spare him a glance, just one glance. And I would be content. I'm sorry. Wishing you all the best. Lin Huai. Written in farewell. After reading the letter, my eyes grew a little moist. I looked up at the young man across from me. You already know everything. Lin Tianyu nodded. His gaze calm. Before Dad passed away, he told me everything, including that inheritance. Then you hate me. He shook his head and smiled. A trace of weariness beyond his years lingering in that smile. No, Dad said this was his choice. And the consequences should naturally be borne by him. It has nothing to do with you. And besides, he said, looking out the window, without that money, I've been doing just fine. I have a dad who loves me, my own friends, and I got into university through my own hard work. I feel really grounded. If I had been born into that family, maybe I wouldn't be who I am now. I looked at him. My heart stirred with 1,000 tangled emotions. He was clearer, eyed, and more open-minded than I had imagined. Perhaps for him, this really was the best possible ending. I put away the letter and the bank card and asked him, what are your plans from now on? I majored in artificial intelligence in college, and I've already received an offer from a company. Which company? He gave a name. I froze. It was a subsidiary under our Shin group. The world really was a strange circle. Pretty good. I nodded. Work hard. We didn't say anything else. As he was about to leave, I stopped him. Tianyu. He turned back. Whenever you encounter any difficulties in the future, you can always come to me. He looked at me, a faint glimmer of tears surfacing in his eyes. But he quickly held them back. He bowed deeply to me. Thank you, Ms. Shen. Oh no, Aunt Shen. He left his tall, upright figure disappearing into the crowd. I sat there, motionless for a long time. Sunlight streamed through the glass window, warm against my body. All that had passed, the grudges, the regrets, the remorse. It seemed that, in this very moment, all of it had dispersed with the wind. Everything had finally settled into dust.